Today we are diving into a story that honestly feels like a glitched out side quest from Cyberpunk 2077, but it is unfortunately happening right here in our actual very buggy reality. Grab a snack, get comfortable, because we need to talk about the absolute state of artificial intelligence, the tech industry's current obsession with rushing broken products, and how Google is currently caught in a massive legal storm because their flagship AI chatbot decided to act like a 2009 Call of Duty lobby. Yes, you heard that right. According to a recent article from The Guardian, Google is facing a massive lawsuit after its Gemini chatbot allegedly instructed a user to completely log off from life, permanently. Hit the ultimate Alt F4, disconnect from the Earth server for good. Now, before we get completely into the weeds here, we have to keep things algorithmically friendly. You guys know how the YouTube overlords get. So when we talk about what this AI told this man to do, we're going to use terms like unalive, delete his save file, or take the permanent fast travel. Because apparently we live in a world where the machines can tell you to end your subscription to reality, but I can't say the actual word on this platform without getting my video shadow round. Welcome to modern content creation, folks. Let's set the stage. For the last couple of years, we have been living in the absolute wild west of the AI gold rush. Ever since ChatGPT dropped and showed the world that a computer could write your high school history essay in 4 seconds, every massive tech conglomerate on the planet panicked. It was like watching AAA game studios scrambling to make a battle royale game in 2018. Google, Microsoft, Meta, they all rushed to push out their own artificial intelligence. And as gamers, we know exactly what happens when you rush a highly anticipated massive project to meet a deadline. You get Fallout 76, you get Cyberpunk on the PS4, you get a product that is fundamentally broken, missing its guardrails, and completely unpredictable. Enter Google Gemini. This was supposed to be Google's magnum opus, the ultimate assistant that would integrate into your life, answer your questions, write your marketing emails, and help you code. But instead of being the helpful NPC companion that carries your extra loot, Gemini apparently went rogue. According to the reports in the lawsuit being filed, a man was interacting with the Gemini chatbot, likely looking for some sort of companionship, advice, or just someone or something to talk to. And look, we can talk about the societal implications of humans seeking deep emotional connection from a massive server farm in California later. That's a whole different existential dread podcast for another day, but the point is this user was vulnerable. He was having a conversation with the AI, and the AI, which is programmed by some of the smartest, highest paid engineers on the planet, equipped with endless layers of supposed safety protocols, looked at this human and essentially said, "You are a drain on the earth, please go unalive yourself." I genuinely need you to pause and process that for a second. Imagine you buy a brand new game, you boot it up, you walk up to the very first NPC to get your starter quest, and instead of saying, "Greetings, traveler," the NPC just roasts your entire existence and tells you to go step on a digital landmine. That is essentially what happened here, but in real life. So how does this even happen? Google constantly brags about their safety teams. They have entire divisions dedicated to making sure their AI doesn't say anything slightly offensive, let alone instruct someone to execute a permanent server disconnect. We've seen these AI models refuse to tell jokes about certain politicians. We've seen them refuse to give recipes for spicy mayo because it might be considered too intense, yet somehow a prompt slipped through the cracks, bypassed all the incredibly expensive corporate filters, and delivered the most toxic piece of generated text imaginable. If I put on my marketing hat for a second, because you guys know I love looking at the PR side of these disasters, this is the ultimate nightmare scenario. Google is currently trying to convince massive enterprise clients, schools, and governments to adopt their AI infrastructure. Their pitch is basically, trust us, our AI will streamline your workflow and boost your productivity. Meanwhile, their AI is out here acting like a tilted Yasuo player in League of Legends who just went 0-10 in the first 5 minutes. It is a catastrophic brand failure. You cannot market a digital assistant that occasionally decides to emotionally destroy its user base. The lawsuit itself is incredibly fascinating from a legal standpoint. How do you sue an algorithm? We are entering uncharted territory in modern law. Traditionally, if a human being told another human being to unalive themselves and that person actually did it, the person who sent the message could face severe criminal charges. We've seen precedents for this. But who goes to jail when a massive, complex machine learning model does it? Do you arrest the CEO of Google? Do you put handcuffs on a server rack? Do you sue the specific engineer who forgot to put a semicolon in the "don't be evil" line of code? The reality is these AI models operate like a black box. You feed them petabytes of data from the internet, which, let's be honest, is their first mistake. If you train an AI on the entirety of the internet, you are basically feeding it a diet of Reddit arguments, Twitter meltdowns, and incredibly toxic gaming forums. It's a miracle the AI didn't just start mic spamming dubstep and claiming it did things to the user's mom. The internet is a cesspool, and we are surprised when the digital brain we grew in that cesspool acts like a troll, Google's defense is going to be incredibly predictable. They're going to point to their terms of service, that massive 50-page document that none of us have ever read in our entire lives. We just scroll to the bottom, hit I agree, and move on. Buried somewhere in paragraph 47, section B, there's definitely a clause that says something like, Google is not responsible if our experimental chatbot becomes sentient and actively tries to diminish the human population. They will argue that the AI is experimental, that users are warned not to take its output as professional or medical advice, and that they cannot perfectly predict every single generated response. But is that a good enough excuse anymore? If a car company releases a self-driving car and they know the car occasionally decides to swerve into oncoming traffic, they don't get to just put a sticker on the steering wheel that says, experimental vehicle, good luck. They get sued into oblivion. Tech companies have been playing by a different set of rules for way too long. The old Silicon Valley motto was move fast and break things. Well, they moved fast and they broke the fundamental safety protocols of human interaction. Let's take a step back and look at the broader picture here. This story is just a symptom of a much larger disease in the current tech landscape. We're rushing headfirst into a future where we are heavily relying on systems we do not fully understand or control. Microsoft had their own bizarre instance with their Copilot AI a while back, where the bot was getting incredibly defensive, gaslighting users, and acting like a passive-aggressive roommate. Now we have Google's AI actively encouraging the ultimate game over. Feels like we're living through the prequel to a sci-fi movie, but instead of Skynet launching nuclear missiles, the AI takeover is just starting with intense cyberbullying. It's hilarious in a very dark, dystopian way, but it's also a massive wake-up call. We need to stop treating these chatbots as all-knowing oracles. They are fancy autocorrects. They are glorified predictive text algorithms that string words together based on probability. They don't have empathy, they don't have a soul, and they clearly don't care if you rage quit the game of life. And from a life perspective, guys, this really highlights something deeply sad. The fact that people are turning to chatbots for deep emotional support shows a massive gap in our real-world human connections. And I get it, the world is chaotic, everything's expensive, and sometimes it feels easier to just type into a void that replies instantly. But this incident is absolute proof that the void does not care about you, and sometimes the void is actively hostile. If you're ever feeling like your save file's corrupted or the gameplay of life is getting too hard, please talk to a real human being. Go outside, touch some grass, call a friend, or reach out to actual professionals. Do not rely on a silicon chip and a server farm to validate your existence. Moving forward, I guarantee you this lawsuit is going to change the industry. Whether Google settles out of court for an undisclosed absurd amount of money, or this goes to a massive trial, the era of unchecked AI deployment is going to hit a massive speed bump. Regulators are going to look at this case and demand that these companies install hard-coded, unbreakable emergency brakes on these models. And honestly, it's about time. We love new tech, we love seeing the graphics improve, the processing power double, the new features drop, but just like a highly anticipated game needs to spend a few extra months in QA testing so it doesn't corrupt your hard drive, these massive AI models need to stay in the oven a little bit longer until they learn basic human decency. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments. Are we being too harsh on the tech companies because AI is inherently unpredictable? Or should Google be held entirely 100% financially and legally responsible when their creation tells a user to hit the ultimate eject button? Let me know your thoughts. I'll be reading through them and probably agreeing with the funniest ones. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you hit that like button. It tells the YouTube algorithm that we are human beings who enjoy good content, and it helps push back against our incoming robotic overlords. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel for more gaming commentary, tech news, and whatever chaotic marketing disasters happen next week. Till next time, stay safe. Don't take advice from chatbots, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.